okay? All right, so now I just wanted to go over a couple of different things or options or things you might see when you order shunts, okay? I've gone over and shown you the right valve that then, right, lays flat, goes into the skull. Remember this one on the dog, right? You saw the other portion with the elbow that went into the cat, okay? Remember we had the elbow here, okay? But there's some different things that you'll see. So this would be a much larger system, okay? And sometimes with these larger systems, sometimes there's tabs. This is the valve. Here's the primer. And we didn't really talk too much about priming. But when you prime stuff, okay, you will attach it to the ventricular portion, whoop, right? And then you're just going to flow. You can see it's dripping out there at the end. Okay. Now, if you just lay this down, what's going to happen? Well, it'll all drain out just like a straw. So what I usually use is a mosquito forceps, right? Mosquito clamp, sorry. Put it on the end there. Now it's like me holding my finger over the straw, right? I can detach here, but nothing's going to drip out. Okay, so a clamp at the end on the peritoneal portion will hold all that together. Okay, but some other things that you might see is, yeah, I showed you the shunt passer. That looks like this, okay? There's also a shunt trocar that looks like this, okay? And it's 3 portions, right? There's this handle at the top. There's this inner portion, okay? And then there's this stylet, okay? And what would happen with this is very similar. Like, you go from the abdomen, you pass this up to the skull, you cut on here, now you have a way through. You then pull the stylet through, ready? Whoop. Now you're like, okay, what do I do? All right, well, you pass this stylet through here. Whoop. And it comes out the other end. Let's see, like right there. All right. And now what you're going to do is you're going to hold that with this end clamp. All right. Got to remember my fingers are kind of big, and so there we go. Now, if you're not sure if this is going to hold, or you question it holding while you pull it subcutaneously, you can just throw a suture here at the end. And what I have happening here, look there at the very end, that clamp is then holding my tubing. And now what you do is, look, you now pass the tubing back up through the trocar. Pull, 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 pull. Ready, 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 ready. Look, watch. There it is. All right. You pull that off. You have wiggliness. You pull the rest of this through. This is what's up in the neck. Okay? Now you do this. Now you pull out your trocar. Whoop. And everything now sits. This is going to be up in the head and neck. This then was subcutaneous, and then this is the part is dangling that will then go into the abdomen. Okay. Again, there's some different systems. So here's a much smaller system. Okay. This would be probably a neonatal system. This system, a larger system, that's going to be an adult system. The one we just had out over here, right? This again, this is going to be the pediatric system, small one like this, okay? Now, they used to have a uni-shunt system, and sometimes they still do. This is a uni-shunt system. It's just one shunt, okay? And the valve is right here. So what happens is let me get that right angle so I can show you really how this would look, all right? So, through. So I'm passing the ventricular portion through the right angle. And when you look at this, again, the last looks like 15 millimeters. Has fenestrations in it. This is the ventricular portion. This is the part that would go in the skull. So I'll take this part over here. Look, this is the part that would stay in like that. Put the screws, right? This valve portion, this would either stay rolled up and be here at the head, or it could be in the neck. You would then do the same thing with the passer portion here, right? You would have passed this trocar up through here, or the passer, one or the other. Okay. You then would grab onto this distal end. Oop. You then are going to feed that through there. Feed and pull. There we go. And then there it is. Great. Now you have this portion. This is what's going to go into the abdomen. You pull out your trocar or your passer. And again, you have your part that's up here, your cranial part, the part that's in your neck, where the uni shunt would sit. The rest of it is subcutaneous. And then there's this portion that would go into the abdomen. Now, it's quite interesting. With most of these, when you get to the abdominal portions, they're really not fenestrated. So like in this one, there's just a few holes. In this one over here, there's 0 fenestrations, and it just goes into the abdomen. And you would think to yourself, like, hey, maybe if we put some fenestrations in here, then what if this ever get blocked or something like that? And I don't know how that mysteriously works. I'm going to be honest with you. But here's what I'm going to say. They put these in people in all the time. This is how they look. So I'm not reinventing that wheel. Now, I did show you an animal that had a simple problem. Remember that dog that I showed you that tore? Okay, remember that animal that tore its distal portion at the level of the ribs. So there was a portion, the abdominal portion was staying in the abdomen. He tore it here because it was so active. So then sometimes you need something like this. Here's a little connector. See that little connector right there? All right. And how does that work? Well, it just connects tubing. So if I put this on this end of the tubing, and then if I put this at this end of the tubing, come on, Petey. Patience. Patiently watching me do this. You know what I need? My glasses. The one end I've connected really well to the connector. Right? You can see that there. And then you would put the other portion on. And then what do you actually have to apply to these connectors? That's the stainless steel connector. You actually have to suture them down as well, right? So you'll put a ligature around the stainless steel, around the silicone tubing, and then you're going to tighten that down because you do not want that to separate. Okay, so you would put one on this side and one on the other side. And then you have your longer distal portion, and then with your connector, and then this is what you put in the abdomen, okay? So the last thing we have to discuss is what you do with the abdomen.